I'm so glad to be here. And Scratch is such a wonderful way for people to learn computer science when they first get started. I've been a big supporter, and I've used it myself, and I see how effective it is. So I'm very glad to be here today.
Wonderful. Well, I'll start off. My name is Shawna Young. I'm the Executive Director for the Scratch Foundation. We're one of the largest coding platforms, free coding platforms for kids in the world to learn how to code creatively. Actually, Scratch was founded about 15 years ago. We're actually celebrating our 15th anniversary and birthday next week. It spins out of MIT. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Our founder, Mitch Resnick, is a professor at MIT, and it came out of MIT's Lifelong Kindergarten Group at Media Lab. And so a lot has been done over the last 15 years. Thank you. And a lot. Actually, last year, over 42 million kids made projects on Scratch, made over 114 million projects.
Wow.
We thought those are great numbers, big numbers, until Susan Wojcicki, thank you so much for joining us today as CEO of YouTube, the largest digital platform for people around the world with over 2 billion users. So welcome, Susan, to the Scratch community.
Sure, I'm so glad to be here. I love Scratch, and I love that people are using it and learning about it on YouTube.
Absolutely. I'd love to just jump right in because we have questions from our Scratchers. I love that you call your creators creators. So really, I guess our Scratchers are also creators. And we actually would like to start with, I'd like to start with asking you a question about how has learning changed on YouTube since the pandemic, which has really happened over the last 2+ years now. Have you seen change in terms of learning on YouTube due to the pandemic?
Sure. Well, we've definitely seen people learning a lot more on YouTube than ever before. And learning and YouTube have so much potential together. And I think about YouTube a lot of times as like a library where anyone can go that's free. It's a video library, and you can learn pretty much anything that you want to learn. And people have always known about it, and people always come up and tell me about what they learned on YouTube. And I love hearing those stories. But during the pandemic, when people were at home and they didn't have as many opportunities to go out, we saw a lot of people come to YouTube and choose to learn something new. And a lot of people have shared those stories, whether it was like baking bread or doing an art project, a skill like playing an instrument. So we definitely saw a lot more people continue to innovate with and learn new skills on YouTube and be very creative. People also had to learn new skills because a lot of times they were doing something for the first time, like they couldn't just go to the supermarket as easily, and so they would be like, oh no, I'll bake a cake. I need a recipe, right? How do I do that? Or I want to try like fixing something in my house that normally I would have called someone to come and fix, and now so we saw people really use YouTube to be able to expand what they were learning and growing, and we're very committed to learning on YouTube and continuing to grow all the content. We talk about edutubers who are doing educational content, and we're hopeful to continue to invest and to grow our edutuber community.
I appreciate it.
I know you had tremendous growth too, that a lot of people during the pandemic decided to code and learn to code. And I think that's just a great example of how people had more free time and they could use YouTube. So I'd love to hear, what did you see during the pandemic, and how did your channel change over that time?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question, Susan. I have to tell you, actually, I started at the Scratch Foundation November 2020. So I was one of the pandemic hires, and it's been a ride since then. But I really enjoy getting to know our team. And even before I started, I know for Scratch Foundation, we realized that we had to do something different. When we looked at our YouTube channel, and Eric and Zoe on our team in particular saw that we had 8,000 subscribers. So with a lot of intention, a lot of new video and tutorials, and that's really what we use a lot of our YouTube channel for, is helping kids learn how to Scratch and how to make projects on the Scratch platforms for Scratch and Scratch Junior. And with their hard work and the hard work of our team, we now have 100,000 plus subscribers. So we have a creator award, which we're really, really excited and proud about. I also have a letter from you for our award.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Actually, some of our videos, including how to make a jumping game, how to make a catch game, have over 1 million views. We've really seen, even with the recent travel I've done, I know that a lot of our Scratch community has appreciated having our YouTube channel as a way for them to learn how to use Scratch. So thank you for having us also be part of the YouTube community.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you've been able to grow. And Scratch is a great way for people to learn to code. I get that question a lot, like, how do I start? And it's great. Kids a lot of times want to learn, so it's a really great way to start. And video is really a wonderful teaching mechanism. People appreciate the fact that they can just do it in their own time, and then if they don't understand anything, they can play it again, like however many times, right? And they don't feel bad if they need to play it many times, right? And then so we've definitely seen a lot of ways that video has enabled learning in new ways, and I'm so excited to see that with Scratch. There's a shortage of teachers who can teach coding, and so the fact that you can make it scalable and accessible to anyone, no matter where they are, even if there's no coding teachers in their area, they can use it with your channel, which I love. So that's great to hear, and I'm so glad. Congratulations on your growth during the pandemic.
Thank you. And you've been a huge supporter of video and education for years. And from doing research on the work you've done, you were one of the people who really convinced Google to buy or acquire YouTube in 2006, I guess, which is right around the time we started Scratch.
Definitely. I definitely saw the potential for online video, and I immediately saw it for learning too. Just people could suddenly learn all kinds of new skills without really a teacher. And so I think about it a lot as a library, and people can, wherever they are, can access it. And it's pretty incredible. We go a lot of times into different communities where people didn't have access to the internet before, and we ask them, like, what did you do when you had internet? We'll give them access to the internet with various tools. And a lot of times they're using it to learn something new and to empower themselves in some way that they couldn't do before. So it's definitely been great to see just the way that the internet and YouTube have enabled a lot more education.
I have to tell you, I'm also one of those people who learned how to do air frying using YouTube and things like that. So yeah, I think it's really been insightful personally for me, and I appreciate it, because actually when I was also applying for the role for Scratch executive director, I learned a lot through being able to go to YouTube. So I really appreciate that. I'd love to jump in. Yeah, I'd love to also jump in. We have questions from our Scratchers around the world, and love to jump into that. Probably going to give you some hard-hitting questions to start.
Oh, okay.
Not too hard.
I'm ready.
Okay. But coming from, actually, Google.org has been a huge supporter of Scratch. And with our last grant, we actually were able to start the Scratch Education Collaborative. So it's a group of organizations around the world that are really focused on helping kids learn how to code creatively. Our first question is actually coming from Nigeria. Fortune, who's part of the Odyssey Foundation in Nigeria, has a couple questions for you.
Hi, I'm Fortune Somajina, and these are my questions for Susan, the YouTube CEO. My first question is, did you at some point have conflicting thoughts on the career path you should follow? My second question is, how did your dream start? How did you become the YouTube CEO? And my third question is, were you discriminated gender-wise when it was clear that you had interest in STEM?
Okay, those are great questions. I love too that there are 3 questions there. So I'll try to answer all of them. So the first question, right, is did I have any conflicting thoughts about the correct path that I should follow? And I mean, I'll start by just saying that I didn't really have a clear path. Like when I was it wasn't, the internet didn't really exist as we know it until after I had already graduated from college. So I was never thinking as a kid that I would work in computers or in technology. It just wasn't that big a field. Really what I was thinking was that I wanted to do something creative. And like I loved making things, building things. I loved Lego as a kid. I loved doing art projects. And I liked having impact and thinking about how what I did could have some kind of positive impact on people all over the world. And what I saw is that as soon as I discovered technology when I was in my early 20s, I saw that this was a way of making product and that people all over the world would use it. And that is what really inspired me I actually started making educational software. That was the first company I worked at. And then people all over would write to us and tell us how they had used it and learned it. And that's just when I was hooked and said, I want to continue to work in technology. And then the second question was, how did I become the YouTube CEO? Well, that's a good question. And a lot of people ask me, oh, wait, how did you get that job? Well, I've been at Google for 23 years now. I was at Google when it first started, when it had probably a lot fewer employees than Scratch does now. I was officially employee 16. So I worked on many products across Google. But I always was excited and passionate about video and saw the potential. And so as soon as well, first of all, I did really advocate when YouTube was really small for Google to buy it. It took a lot of investment. And so it was clear to YouTube that they needed a large partner. And I worked to convince Google to be able to buy it and invest in it. And as soon as the CEO job opened up, I was very excited. And Larry Founder, who's the page of Google, asked me, and I knew I had about 1 second to think about it, that if I didn't say yes right there on the spot, he would give it to someone else. So I immediately said yes. And it's been about 8 years. So it's been great years. I've been really busy, but very fulfilling. And I'm really glad that I've had this incredible opportunity. Very honored to have this opportunity.
That's awesome.
And then the last question was, have I ever felt discriminated against gender-wise? And I would say, I'm sure there have been many times. But, this is something that is really hard. Sometimes you don't know, like, is this discrimination? Is this not discrimination? And so what I've really focused on is just focused on trying to do the best job that I can and getting what I need and making sure that my work is recognized when I need it to be recognized. So if I feel like, for example, there's always the concern, like, are people listening to you in the room? Like when you stand up and you speak, like, are you listened to? Are you taken with the same amount of seriousness? And so, for example, like something like that, I would just be really persistent. I encourage people to keep working at it. If I didn't think people had registered what I had said, I would keep saying it. I would maybe say it in a new and different way, or say it to other people afterwards. And I'm sure there's always some amount of issues and discrimination we all face, and there are many ways to deal with it. But certainly one trick that will work for everyone is just to be really persistent, and to not give up, and to believe in yourself, and believe that if you have something important to say, you say it, and you keep going. So there's a lot more there, but I think if you keep working hard and speak up and believe in yourself, you'll get through a lot of the challenges.
I really appreciate your responses to all three questions from Fortune. I can relate a lot. And I think that you stand as an example for children around the world, but especially girls around the world, that they can really achieve anything they want. So I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts, but also sharing some of your personal story. Thank you for that, Susan.
Sure.
So we have another question from Odyssey Foundation, Nigeria, and Joshua has a question.
My name is Shawna Young. I'm 11 years old. I have two questions to ask the CEO of YouTube. The first question is, who really motivated you to become who you are today? And what challenges did you face on your way to success?
Okay, so great questions. And the questions here were, what motivated me to become who I am today, and what are the challenges that I faced along the way? And I would say it's hard for me to answer in terms of, who inspired me to be who I am today. And the reason is because I was very early in the tech industry. And so when I first started, it wasn't clear what technology was going to be. The internet didn't really exist, or at least not as we know it. And there weren't a lot of women either in those roles. So, but what inspired me was just the fact that I loved creating product and I loved having impact. And so the lesson that I've taken away from that is to try to find something that is meaningful to you in your life in terms of what you're doing. And if you can, and it brings you a lot of satisfaction and you feel like you're doing something important and meaningful, it can help you get through a lot of hard times. And so, yes, I definitely had a lot of challenges. I can make a long list of the challenges, certainly lots of late nights and long hours and travel that maybe I didn't always, wasn't always easy for me to do. And there certainly were times where things didn't go well, where we would launch a product and we would think it's going to do really well and it didn't. And so I've really encouraged everyone to always, first of all, look at as honestly as you can in terms of what's happening. If something isn't working, acknowledge that, try to fix it, and have a plan about what you learn from that and how to do it differently next time. So that's one of my main advices is just be very honest, and it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay it's good to learn from your mistakes, and everyone makes mistakes. And the most important thing is that you learn from them. So, but I talk to lots of other CEOs of tech companies. We compare notes. I learn from them still. I certainly learned a lot from the founders of Google and the first CEO of Google, and continue to work with all my peers. I learned from my peers. So you can learn from everyone around you. And so I encourage all of you to to look at who you want to be like and what you want to do and see what you can learn from them.
Thank you, Susan. I also appreciate from seeing a lot of the videos and interviews you've done is like your passion for the work and the transparency you have around the work you're doing at YouTube. So I think that also like adds to what you've also shared. Thank you for that. We're gonna move to New York and actually hear a question from Enrique, who's part of Deaf Kids Code in New York.
Hi, my name is Enrique. I'm 13 years old. I go to school at St. Joseph's School for the Deaf in the Bronx, New York. I'm involved in Deaf Kids Code, DKC, stands for Deaf Kids Code. I love technology. I can communicate with my friends through FaceTime or texting with my friends. My one question for YouTube is, do you have deaf people working at your company?
All right, well, that was a great question from Enrique. Thank you so much, Enrique. And yes, we definitely do have deaf people who are working at our company. And I would say there are a number of people that I have personally worked with over the years that I know are hearing impaired, and they've worked on a broad set of functions at YouTube and Google. So definitely there are lots of deaf people who are working at our company. And we recognize too that it's really important for YouTube to support the deaf community and the hearing impaired community when they're watching videos too. And it's been really helpful for us to actually have employees at YouTube who can work with us on that and make sure that we are thinking about all the different ways that we can make YouTube accessible to everyone, regardless of their disabilities, how YouTube could be accessible to them. So some of the things, for example, that we've worked on have been an effort to make sure that the captions are more available to everyone. And we've been working on making sure that the captions are accurate for them, and that we recently just did auto captions for any live stream that's in English, and we're planning to expand that to a lot more languages. And we're also testing something too for creators or for our visually limited community, so that people could actually have audio tracks on the videos to be able to hear what's actually happening in the video. So across various disabilities, we are definitely innovating and trying to make sure that we satisfy that. And we find that a lot of times when we come up with a feature, actually maybe it started because we were looking at some disability, but it turns out that that feature is actually really valuable for everyone. And so it makes our products better for the entire community. So I really encourage you to keep coding. I love that you're working with Deaf Kids Code. I think technology is a great opportunity for people with all backgrounds, and there are many people with many disabilities across Google and YouTube. So I encourage you to keep up the good work. And thank you for the question.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. Even at Scratch, we're doing the same thing. We're thinking about how can we increase accessibility on our platform. So just hearing the work that YouTube is doing is really helpful too. So we have a question actually from Mexico. Guillermo has a question from you from the organization called ILSE.
Hi, Susan. I'm glad to meet you. I'm Guillermo and I'm from Jalapa, Veracruz in Mexico. It will be an honor if you could answer to these questions. The first question is, how do you organize your time when you were a child to your business and time at school?
Okay, no, thank you for the question. And the question is about how did I organize my time as a child between my schoolwork and my business time? So thank you, Guillermo, for the question. And I would say that as a kid, I was lucky that most of my time was focused on school and activities and doing things with my friends. But I also did a lot of babysitting. I actually had a business where I would sell handicrafts and sell it to the various neighbors and go around and make money that way. And so I would say that, it's really important when you're young to really focus on your studies. And that is what's going to help you in life, is to be a good student, to be able to build skills. But it's also good to be able to explore new things. When you're young, you can develop a lot of new habits, whether you're interested in music or dance or computers or a sport. It's a great time to be able to explore it. So I really encourage all the young people to study, do what you love as well with the free time that you have, and really invest in yourself. And I think that will pay off for you over time. But I will say, like, having a job and doing work is a really valuable skills too. Like, you learn a lot about the world, you learn about being independent. And but it's always a balance. Everything in life is a balance. You can do some work, but you also have to make sure that you have enough time to do your studies and to be effective at school, since that's what will help you in the end be able to achieve the job and career that you want. So I encourage you to really, learn whatever you can, both at work and at school, and continue to grow, especially while you're young, and be able to explore new areas.
I appreciate that answer. I'm a fellow babysitter too. When I was 12, I did babysitting. I think for me also, it was helpful. My parents had their own gymnastics facility, so I had a job. So I had to organize my time. I had multiple things happening and extracurricular activities. So I agree with you that that's good, but school comes first for sure.
It is really good to be able to help you manage time. It's hard. It's a hard skill, time management. And, like writing down a schedule, planning out how much schoolwork you have, how to manage your time. Do you have enough time? Like planning ahead. Oh, look, I'm going to be really busy. I'm going to be working during those hours. I have to do it ahead of time. So it does teach you to manage your time very effectively.
Yeah, I totally agree. We have one last question from Chen from Cambodia, Sisters of Code.
Hi, my name is Shawna Young and I'm 15 years old and I'm from Cambodia. What is your favorite kind of content to watch on YouTube?
All right. Well, thank you so much for the question. I would first of all say that there's so much great content on YouTube. And so I watch many different parts of it. I watch, well, first of all, there's personally some things that I really like to do. Like, I like the exercise videos, like yoga on YouTube. It's been a great way to be able to, especially during the pandemic, keep up exercise, but not have to go anywhere and do it when you're free. there's a lot of great cooking videos. You can learn to make dishes from all over the world, and see people who are from different countries and how they cook. I've also really enjoyed seeing travel videos, which I've enjoyed a lot. And sometimes I watch videos in a language that's not my main language. I also speak French and Spanish. And so I've enjoyed being able to watch content in different languages to help keep up the language and to be able to grow it and see different perspectives. I also watch the news a lot, which I've enjoyed because you can get it on specific topics. I watch what's happening with, like, I try to learn about new companies actually on YouTube. So I've seen that whenever there's a new company, usually the best way to see their product, yes, I try out all their products, but I also go and look at their YouTube video about how their product is supposed to work. A lot of times it's a lot faster, and then I'll try out the product too. And then there are lots of great creators who can just make you laugh, especially after a hard day. It's nice to watch them. And so I use YouTube for many different things, and I hope it's useful for all of you too.
I felt like that's probably the number one question all of our scratchers want to know. What does Susan watch on YouTube? So thank you for sharing. I have to tell you, I also love that you call or you name your creators, because I think that's really core to the work that's being done on YouTube. And we really appreciate being part of the creator community also. So.
No, that's really core and what unites all of us. The fact that our creators are creating, and Scratch is enabling people to create. It's giving them the tool to be able to build and create and express themselves and learn more coding skills, where they'll be able to create applications or apps or tools to express themselves and to do whatever is useful and necessary for them. So I'm a big supporter of people learning to code. I see the world is moving more digitally, and I can tell you, I started learning to code actually when I was a senior in college. I was 21, and I thought I was too old to learn to code. I can tell you, you're never too old to learn to code. You can always learn to code, and that there are many easy ways to learn and get started. Like Scratch is a great way to learn and get started. And I really, again, for anyone who's interested, encourage you to try it and to learn. And you'll see that you'll be able to do quite a lot pretty quickly. And there are great channels to be able to learn, like the Scratch Foundation channel. And so I encourage everyone who is thinking about learning to code or who always wanted to learn to code to try it out. And I'm confident that you will be able to do something pretty quickly, just trying it out and learning a little bit.
Well, thank you, Susan. This was so nice to have this conversation with you and our scratchers from around the world. And we look forward to continuing to be part of the YouTube family and YouTube creator community.
Yeah, no, thank you. And thank you to you and all the scratchers around the world. Doing great work. And I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you.